Cardano is literally holding on to a thread in terms of price action. And if this thread doesn't hold and the thread rips, we're talking about a potential worst case scenario in what some call still a bull market, others call the beginning of a bear market. What would be the worst case scenario for Cardano? Is the run over? Is the top in? These are questions we're seeing from the community, from people online, from influencers, from even my next door neighbor who texted me and said, hey, is Cardano ever going to make a new all-time high? I'm hoping to answer that question today. We'll get back to this chart. As you can see here, when I say hanging on by a thread, if this cloud does not hold and price action falls, we're going to talk about some of those numbers, throw some maybe predictions out there. But first, before we get into a potential doom and gloom, now there might be some good news, so you got to stay tuned. Before we get into the potential doom and gloom, we're talking about Cardano's birthday. This is from Dave Ada. Happy 8th birthday, Cardano. 8 years ago today, the journey began September 23rd at 2144 UTC, which, by the way, I hate that. Just use Eastern Standard Time, you know? You know, it's very American of me to say that. It's been 8 years of relentless peer-reviewed innovation, building a blockchain defined by its unmatched reliability and security. From a visionary white paper to a thriving global ecosystem, the progress has been remarkable. Yes, it has what Cardano's accomplished. Now, some people will point and say, well, the adoption's not there. Depending on what metrics you look at, some might be right, some might be wrong. But I'm not here to talk about that in this video. I am here to talk about Cardano Foundation, who just put out their roadmap. What are they looking to do? Let's take a look here. And also, I got a Charles video in Singapore talking to CoinDesk about a $10 trillion opportunity. We'll get into that video here in a second. Unveiling the next phase of our roadmap for Cardano adoption. Now, this is from CF, Cardano Foundation. This is also, it's nice to see the not so back and forth between them and Charles, and maybe some things actually get done. So here's our next phase, their roadmap. 8-figure ADA for stablecoin liquidity. DeFi liquidity initiative support, 220 million ADA delegation to new DREPs, 10 million plus RWA launch, 2 million ADA to the venture hub, and expanded promotion and adoption. Very curious on this stablecoin. So we will provide an 8-figure ADA amount in liquidity to Cardano stablecoin projects. We will also back DeFi adoption and liquidity through initiatives like the stablecoin DeFi liquidity budget. My question is, and maybe I'm just ignorant, maybe I don't know. My question is, if you're going to spend $1 billion plus ADA to provide liquidity for stablecoin, why not just bring in Tether or Circle? And if there's an answer that I'm missing, someone in the comment section, let me know. The contention has always been, oh, they want too much money. Part of it is because they're centralized. I understand that. I totally get that. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a Circle or a Tether and having like a USDM or a JET. I think both can coexist. But let's just face it. The gold standard for stablecoin and liquidity in crypto is Circle or Tether. Investors, large whales, majority of them who have activity in DeFi, they don't take chains seriously that don't have these. That's not my view. That's just a view of others that I see. So my question is, they're dumping another billion or so ADA, 8 figures, right? Well, that's 9 figures. 100 million or more ADA, excuse me, I stand corrected, into Cardano stablecoin projects. Take that and bring Circle or Tether. That would be my recommendation. But again, who am I? I'm just a YouTuber here sharing my opinion. We're expanding our Web3 adoption team to deliver greater adoption of Cardano. Their focus will be on integrations, listings, real-world assets, and more. Building on recent successes, we are committing up to 2 million ADA to the Venture Hub in 2026. We'll continue collaborating with Draper U, Techstars, CV Labs to support their upcoming budget requests focused on Cardano adoption. Yesterday, we announced the launch of $10 million in RWA on Cardano, thanks to our collaboration with Members Cap. To grow RWA further, we have to address Cardano's standards for RWA and TradFi. We'll also be working with Masumi Network to adopt the latest payments framework, X402, on Cardano. Now, what is the importance of X402? Well, if you missed the announcement last week, Google is entering into the payment space with agent-to-agent commerce. And they're working with Coinbase. And well, that's the language, the programming, right? The framework is X402. So looks like Cardano is looking to be in line with that. So when there are successful agents, not saying there aren't right now, but maybe that go mainstream or start doing some of the things you see on like Virtual's Protocol or some things like Base, they'll be able to communicate and be part of the Google agent commerce ecosystem. In 2026, we'll grow our demand generation budget by 12%, expanding efforts within inbound paid content, media, and events. We'll continue working with the ecosystem to develop strategic programs to promote Cardano awareness and adoption. Building on our delegation of 140 million ADA to 7 builder D-reps, we'll keep empowering decentralized governance with an extra 220 million ADA to 11 additional D-reps from the adoption and operation categories. We'll also reduce our influence by lowering our self-delegation to 8 million. Okay, interesting. After 5 years of bootstrapping Cardano SPOs, we'll now shift more of our focus to supporting the larger Cardano ecosystem. To keep financial sustainability during this period, we are sunsetting our current SPO delegation strategy by delegating to our own Cardano Foundation pools that we fully pledge over the next few months. We thanked almost 400 pools that received the delegation. Cardano Foundation will continue to operate with transparency, revisiting our roadmap and strategy in light of new developments. A lot more will follow over the next 3 years. For more details, read the full blog. If you want to read the full blog, there it is. So I kind of shared my thoughts on this. My big thing with ADA is I think, and maybe someone wants to throw out a budget proposal there, but some sort of marketing proposal or something for builders to come and build very, very user-friendly dApps and spend money getting some of these products and dApps out there and bring some fresh capital, some fresh users into the ecosystem. I think that'll serve it well. Really, in any business, that'll serve it well. Now, I'm going to share a video on Charles Hoskinson, but I want you to watch this first.
Hey, we're doing a Cardano video today, right?
Yes, Cardano.
Okay, well, are you ready?
Give me 1 second. I'm almost ready. Oh, damn it.
Well, the live stream starts in 5 minutes, so you gotta get off your phone.
I know, I'm in the middle of something. Just give me 1 second.
Are you playing Stake on your phone again?
Listen, I got an 11. I gotta figure out if I gotta double down or stand. So just give me 1 second. I think I'm gonna double this, and I promise I'll be ready to go. You know what? All right, let's do it. All right, if you want to support the channel, there's a link in the description. Download Stake on your phone. All right, Charles, Singapore, CoinDesk, RWAs, listen.
People want access to the U.S. capital markets, and they look to us to decide how RWAs are going to work. That's the tsunami wave. There's about $10 trillion in real-world assets that exist that could be tokenized, but we can't quite do it because we don't quite have the understanding of how to make securities work in the blockchain space. You know, how does the disclosure work? How does broker-dealer work? How does custody work? How do all these things with KYC and AML work on cross-border settlements? And so we're sorting that out. Once the U.S. sorts that out, we'll create one unified securities market across the entire world, and that's going to probably lead the majority of growth in the cryptocurrency space over the next 5 years. So the United States is in a singular position of power there because we control the world markets from that dimension.
So, a thought just hit me as I'm sitting here watching this video, and it's 9:42 a.m. on the West Coast here in my home state. And Cardano has always been labeled the retail chain, right? The retail investor. It's the average person that gets onboarded into crypto, and it usually comes the latter half or the latter, say, fifth, 10% of the market cycle. After this, usually it's the bear market. People say it's retail friendly, it's driven by retail, which it has historically. Look at 2021 cycle. But now that you're seeing the evolvement of, I would argue, and numbers say, more retail-friendly chains as far as onboarding the retail people that are here. There's really not a lot here, but the ones that are here, like Solana and Base, and then you look at a Cardano where when you match it, technology, privacy, longevity, peer-reviewed, I mean, everything that Cardano hangs its hat on, does retail really care about that? Probably not, but who would care about that? Institutions, hedge funds, banks, businesses, corporations. So could we be literally right now seeing a shift between the retail chain, Cardano, moving into the institution chain, where privacy and security and optimization and customization and side chains and midnight and all of that is of more importance to these people versus retail. Retail doesn't care. Retail wants to come in, buy a cool meme. They want to see a cool platform they can 100x trade on. And I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts in the comment section. Now, let's get back to the chart. Worst case scenario is this level does not hold. That is the lower end of our cloud. And I want to point, this is a high time frame, one day. Let's take a look at the last time that ADA, after trading above its Ichimoku cloud for quite some time, it broke out in November of 24. Okay, we were in technically a bull market. All right, the bottom was November of 22. So we're 2 years removed from the Sam Bankman-Fried saga. Cardano absolutely smashed 33 cents up to $1.31. It came back down, fell into the cloud, chopped sideways, broke above, came back, top end of the cloud held support. And then what happened? Cardano fell through. And let's take a look what happened until Cardano broke above its cloud again. It had a few I'd call them, deviations outside. Here was one, and it came right back and broke below the cloud. But you take a look, when Cardano fell through, it was here. Cardano fell from wick to wick. It was around 48%. On a more sustained level, it was around a 47% drop. And then the bottom, until it started creeping back up again, was 44%. And this lasted over 152 days. So that is 5 months of sideways and downward price action, down and to the right, for 5 months, boring everyone to death. And then look what happened, right? Cardano starts running. It breaks above the cloud. It comes back for a retest, and it's in an uptrend. It rallies around 32%. If you take it from low to high, around 42%. So a gain back half of what it lost. Because if you lose 50%, you got to gain 100 to get back to even. So you lose 47, you gain 42, you got back half. Okay, you divide that number by half. And Cardano's been trading above its cloud ever since. Bumps, and these have been easy trade opportunities. We come back and touch the top end of this cloud, we enter into a long. Top end of the cloud, enter into a long. Top end of the cloud, enter into a long. Well, we are right at the precipice, right at the border here, okay? You saw the wick below, we came right back. You saw another wick right at, I mean, this is just picture perfect, my friends, and that is a terrible circle. Look at that. And I'll zoom in even more just so you can see how perfectly this wick touched the bottom end of this cloud. So far right now, the worst case scenario is being averted, but I will note there's a couple good things, okay? Number one, if the cloud breaks, okay, we should see a bounce at one of these three moving averages. These are 200-day moving averages. You have the ribbon here. So we should see a bounce on the top one, right? You saw back here, broke above the cloud. When we came back to retest, we didn't quite get to the top end of the cloud. We were much closer to the last band of the MA band here. So the bull, the continuation to the upside was in full force. It was in effect. It didn't change. So we have that lying under here. So that is 71.25 and around 76 cents. So we should catch some support. Now, the worst case scenario would be for price to come down, get a dead cat bounce, test the top end of this MA ribbon at 76 cents, and then continue to fall. That would be the worst case scenario, which in turn, that would mean, in my opinion, if we take a peek here, if it loses that MA, Cardano's probably coming back down to around 58 cents. From 82 cents to 58 cents, this would be a 30% move to the downside. Now, this won't mean that maybe Cardano, maybe that was the top. Maybe $1.30 was the top. I don't think it was the top. But that would be my worst case scenario. So the important thing to watch here on the daily time frame, my friends, we want the cloud to hold. If the cloud does not hold, let it be a deviation. Let's come back. Let's retest this 200-day moving average. Let's see the bids come in, and let's fly through. You can see here, that's a very thin cloud. So realistically, we have until October 7th until that cloud starts to get thick again, and it's going to take a lot more price action to the upside to break that cloud. So is a worst case scenario here yet? No. Is it around the corner? Potentially. I'm a little more optimistic. I don't think the market cycle is over, but I'm curious to know your thoughts in the comment section. Are you on the worst case scenario side, or are you on the more optimistic side like me? Let me know. And then come check out our live show Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Till the next one. Peace.